Uganda's battle for freedom and the end of a family rule. Bobi Wine is a prominent Ugandan opposition leader, activist and musician who is the president of the National Unity Platform (NUP) political party.
NUP! Everywhere! NUP! Everywhere!
From the narrow streets of Kamwokya to the global stage, Bobi rose from music, poverty and pain to challenge a regime older than himself. His name is Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, known to the world as Bobi Wine, the ghetto child who dared to dream of a free Uganda.
We must get our freedom, or at least die trying to get our freedom. I don't know how much danger is awaiting us on this campaign trail, but I know that we are going to keep moving with hope and faith.
He is not just an artist or a politician. He is a symbol of resistance, a reminder that leadership doesn't come from palaces, but from purpose. His voice has shaken the walls of power, and his courage has awakened a nation that had fallen silent for too long. The boy from Kamwokya, Bobi Wine, was born in 1982 in a small suburb of Kamwokya, Kampala, a place where hope was scarce but dreams were endless. He grew up watching the struggles of ordinary Ugandans, families working hard yet trapped in poverty. He saw inequality not from the news, but from the window of his own home. Even as a child, he questioned why some lived like kings, while others begged for school fees. His mother often told him, "Son, if you cannot be rich, be useful." Those words shaped him. He attended Kitante Hill School and later Makerere University, where he graduated with a degree in music, dance, and drama. Music became his weapon, and the ghetto became his stage. Rise of the ghetto president. While others sang about love, Bobi Wine sang about life. He called his music edutainment, entertainment that educates. Songs like Ghetto, Situka, and Freedom became rallying cries for the forgotten youth of Uganda. To me,
Why the price of electricity too high? Why the price of education is too high?
to millions of young people, Bobi wasn't just a musician, he was their voice. He told them they mattered, that they could rise above fear. He became known as the ghetto president, a leader of a nation within a nation, the people ignored by power but united by hope. His concerts drew thousands, not for fame, but for purpose. The microphone became his sword, and rhythm became his revolution. From music to politics, a turning point. In 2017, Bobi Wine decided that words were no longer enough. He took the fight to Parliament. Against all odds, he ran for the Kayadondo East constituency and won by a landslide. His victory shocked Uganda's political elite. To the youth, it was proof that power could change hands, that a new generation was ready to lead. But to the regime, it was a warning. Bobi's rise terrified those who had ruled for nearly 4 decades. His music was banned, his concerts cancelled, and his movements restricted.
But you challenge my authority now, and you see what happens.
Yet, the more they tried to silence him, the louder the people's voices became. He once said, "We are not fighting for seats in parliament, we are fighting for our dignity as a people." Clashes with power. The government's response was swift and brutal. Bobi Wine faced countless arrests, detentions, and beatings. His colleagues were tortured, his supporters kidnapped, and his driver shot dead.
Bobi Wine is my president. Unless you kill me, I will say that forever and ever and ever.
But instead of breaking his spirit, it strengthened his resolve. He stood before the press, bruised but smiling, saying, "You can imprison my body, but you will never imprison my soul. Those words lit a fire across Uganda and beyond.
But everybody knows who is the president of Uganda.
From Kampala to London, from Nairobi to Washington, the world began to ask, who is this man they fear so much? The family government. For 39 years, President Yoweri Museveni has ruled Uganda. Once a liberator, he is now accused of creating a family dynasty. His son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, is being prepared to inherit the presidency. Museveni's control extends through the army, the police, the media, and the courts.
General Moses' fingerprint is not the same as mine, although he's my son. Because he picked from Mama something and from me something. So he's different from Mama, he's different from me.
Critics say Uganda has become a democracy in name, but a monarchy in practice.
I want to thank the NRM members for again showing trust in me and electing me as the NRM chairperson for the period 1925-1931 and also for the flag bearer.
Bobi Wine has called it out boldly. Uganda has been captured by a small family clique. The country has become their personal property. His words echo across Africa, a challenge to every leader who clings to power while their people starve.
Now to General Museveni. I know you don't like listening to young people or even listening to anybody at all, but at least listen to your friend and Bushwa comrade, General Kainda Otafire. I want you to remember that Uganda was here before you, and Uganda will be here long after you are gone.
What began as a song became a revolution. The People Power movement is not a political party, it's a mindset. It represents the belief that every citizen holds our authority over their nation. Red berets became the symbol of defiance, so powerful that the government outlawed them.
Either getting our freedom or we die trying.
Bobi Wine's message resonates across the continent. Africa does not lack leaders, Africa lacks freedom from fear.
Please don't mention my name. Mention what is right. Because when you demand for what is right, it will also put me and everybody else on spot to do what is right. Don't personalize it. Don't attach me to it. I'm only a human being. You cannot reduce what Uganda or Africa needs to just Bobi Wine. I'm a mortal man with so many weaknesses. So it must not be about me. I might represent it now, but I might slide and fall short of what is required of the country or the continent. So see what is right, advocate for what is right, demand for what is right.
The 2026 election, a new hope. In September 2025, the Electoral Commission officially cleared Bobi Wine to run for the 2026 presidential election. His campaign slogan, "A New Uganda Now."
I want this message to go to President Museveni. On behalf of the people of Uganda, I am challenging you to a free and fair election.
He travels tirelessly across the nation, from Kamwokya to Acholi, Busoga to Buganda, meeting farmers, students, market women, and boda riders. Everywhere he goes, the same chant fills the air. People power. The streets echo with hope, but also tension. Security forces hover, arrests continue, yet people keep coming. They come not just for a candidate, but for the promise that Uganda can be free again.
That they have blocked our function because General Museveni is going to be in the area. Of course, it is laughable. It is laughable that the regime with blatant impunity can, block an internal party activity.
To many, Bobi Wine is the future of Uganda. To the government, he's a threat. But across Africa, he is becoming something bigger.
Say to President Museveni, please rein in your son. I think Bobi Wine is here, who is the leader of the opposition. Are you here, Bobi, or they killed you before you come here? He's here, yeah. Please talk to him to hear what harassment those guys are subjected to. Why? They are citizens of your country. They are not your enemy. And if the people I don't know if Bobi Wine will be a good president or not. I don't know.
The other day there was a fracas in West Nile where our young friend Bobi Wine was tried to fight with security people. I think they beat him a bit. And then they came and said, oh, member of parliament was beaten. Now when I studied, I found the man had been beaten properly in the right way. They had actually tried to punish the boys. I said, no, this is rubbish. It is the other people who are in the wrong.
But across Africa, he is becoming something bigger, a symbol of courage. From Burkina Faso to Senegal, young Africans are rising, inspired by his defiance. They see in him what their leaders once were, unbought, unafraid, unbroken. Even beyond Africa, voices are rising. Human rights groups call him a Nelson Mandela of the digital age, a man who turned music into a movement and resistance into rhythm. The struggle continues. The road ahead is not easy. Museveni's government still controls the military, the media, and the courts. But what it cannot control is hope. Hope spreads faster than fear, and hope is what Bobi Wine gives to millions. He knows the cost of freedom is high, but as he often says, if we die for freedom, at least our children will live free. Legacy, the people's president. Whether he wins or not, Bobi Wine has already changed Uganda. He has shown the world that leadership is not about age or titles. It's about service. He represents the new face of African politics, young, brave, and people-centered. He once said, I am not fighting Museveni, I am fighting the idea that we are too small to change our destiny. That idea is dying, one song at a time. Africa rising, from the heart of Uganda, a new Africa is calling. One led not by fear, but by faith in its people. One that refuses to be silent in the face of oppression. This is the African journalist, and this was the story of Bobi Wine, the people's president. Subscribe, share, and keep the voice of Africa alive. Because when we tell our own stories, we write our own history.
Fellow Ugandans, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, aka Bobi Wine, the leader of the National Unity Platform and the People Power Movement. I salute you and I thank you for everything you continue to do to build our nation. Today, I want to once again directly address the men and women in uniform, the UPDF soldiers, the police officers, the prison officers, and the intelligence services. I'm singling them out because these men and women have been used to crush the aspirations of the people of Uganda, to crack down on every effort by the people to free themselves from a military regime. And yet, they're also prisoners. In fact, in many ways, they are worse prisoners than the rest of us. Sometimes when you meet them in private, even after they've manhandled you following orders from above, they will encourage you to continue fighting for them and for the nation. I am convinced that one day the majority of them will confidently come out and join the citizens. And that will be the end of this criminal regime. These past days, the question of the welfare of our soldiers and police officers has once again become the subject of public debate. This is only after the unfortunate incidents of shootings and gun violence. The devastating attack on our forces in Somalia has also brought to the forefront the plight and welfare of those deployed to fight outside Uganda. You all remember that in our 2021 manifesto, the welfare of our men and women in uniform was high on our agenda. We made it clear that people who are keeping our country and its borders safe cannot continue earning peanuts and living miserably, and then we expect them to do their work effectively. This is because we understood that a hungry man is an angry man. The violence unleashed on the population is sometimes because they are living under so much stress. They tend to transfer their anger from a system that does not work for them and offload it on the innocent citizens that are trying to free everybody, including themselves, from this oppression. It is a shame that some of our men and women in uniform actually earn as low as 380,000 shillings, $100. And these people are expected to do shopping from the same places like everybody else? Of course, General Museveni and his henchmen have been telling you to sacrifice. They love using big words like patriotism and reminding you that being in the forces should be about the mission and not welfare. Well, this would not be a problem if the same people making these statements were doing the same thing. You who are telling them to sacrifice, are you sacrificing? You who are telling them to be patriotic, are you patriotic? You tell them to sacrifice while you steal billions of public funds. You tell them to sacrifice while you send your children abroad for studies at the expense of the taxpayer because you have destroyed the schools at home. You tell them to sacrifice while you set up multi-billion shopping malls and apartments here in Uganda and abroad, all born out of corruption. You tell them that there is no money. You tell them to tighten their belts, to understand the challenges of their country. But look at the budget you just passed. Billions allocated to State House and to Anita Mong and to Thomas Tayebwa. Citizens have been sharing an excerpt of the new vision detailing how the Speaker of Parliament and her deputy have shamelessly eaten big in next year's budget. How can you say there's no money when you are spending close to 2 billion shillings on their public relations and over 1 billion shillings on their welfare and entertainment, over 260 million shillings on their beddings and footwear, 9.6 billion shillings on their travels abroad, and over 4 billion shillings just for them to donate? And yet, this is just one example of the extravagance and luxurious living of Museveni's cronies. And then you say there's no money. Are we really serious? I have moved around the country and seen the miserable housing at most police stations, including those in Kampala. Ironically, the regime will always have enough money to buy brand new guns and new tear gas trucks to intimidate the population, but will claim there is no money to improve the welfare of the people handling those guns. What a shame. At a time when you claim that there is no money to build hospitals and schools and to provide better housing for the police and military officers, there is money enough to buy new Mercedes-Benzes for regime officials and to ensure that each one of them is followed around by 2 or 3 vehicles. So stop telling them to sacrifice while you live in luxury on taxpayers' money. Our country is now condemned to pay billions in reparations to Congo by the International Court of Justice because a small clique of senior officers connected to Museveni went in and stole gold and timber and other mineral resources using you, the soldiers. As they were enriching and turning themselves into billionaires overnight, they were busy telling the junior soldiers to fight on and sacrifice. How shameless. We talk about improving the welfare of our forces, not just for politics. We talk about it because we know it is possible. We have enough resources to ensure that they are paid better and live in dignity if we have our priorities right. We have questions about the classified expenditure, almost 3 trillion every year. What does that money do apart from siphoning it and using it for patronage? Imagine if that money was invested in setting up modern hospitals and schools and housing facilities, soldiers and police officers and their families. In just one financial year, you would see a fundamental improvement in the lives of these our people. Just looking at the budget of the next financial year, although they've been guarded about the real number of soldiers, but from public statements, including tweets by the army spokesperson, the UPDF has between 50 and 60,000 soldiers. Even if the force was above 100,000 men and women, the current budget for wage for UPDF is enough to raise the salary of every soldier at the rank of private to at least 1 million shillings, effective 1st July this year. Now, the current salary for a private in the UPDF is 385,000 shillings per month. That is the equivalent of $100, which means a soldier at the rank of private is paid about 4.6 million shillings per year, a whole year. In the next financial year, the wage bill for UPDF is going to be 952 billion, almost $1 trillion. Now, if the strength of the UPDF was 60,000 soldiers and each one of them is paid 1 million shillings per month as the starting amount, you would have more than 250 billion left to pay additional money for those soldiers in higher ranks. Why is it not being done? Well, we all know the probable answers. This applies to the police and to other security services. Our struggle, therefore, is about fairness and equity. Our vision is to have fair promotions, fair deployments, and fair opportunities for training, regardless of where one comes from or what language they speak. Our vision is to have the children of our men and women in uniform to have access to the best education opportunities, for their wives to safely give birth in good hospitals, just like the wives of those they guard. Our vision is to turn our armed forces into a service with a clear system of entry and exit like it is in other countries. Joining forces should not be a prison. A person should be able to join forces, serve for a time they desire, and retire and go do other things unless they want to build a longer career in the forces. And they should also be well appreciated and well rewarded so that they retire with dignity. These are all achievable if we have a government elected and accountable to the people of Uganda, and security services are there to serve the people of the country, not to ensure that the regime stays in power. Therefore, I appeal to you all, brothers and sisters, to reflect about these things, to think about them, and to work towards the economic, social, and political freedom of every citizen, and not just a few. Remember, we are not fighting you, we are fighting for you. Situpigane na nyinyi, tunawapigania nyinyi.
Bino byenkola biyamba bwe n'abantu bo. Afande sipigani nawe, nakupigania. Sipigani nawe lakini nakupigania. Afande sirwana na